Hey, what's up everybody? It's King Mapina here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna take a deep dive into Starlink and the delays of enrollment in South Africa. Some of you may be eagerly awaiting the rollout of Starlink internet in South Africa, but there have been some roadblocks. So we're gonna deep dive and explain the reasons to some of these roadblocks. Let's get started. For those who are new to Starlink, Starlink is a satellite internet constellation project by SpaceX, a brainchild of the visionary entrepreneur Elon Musk. The goal of Starlink is to provide high-speed internet to underserved communities around the world. This constellation of satellites aims to provide really fast internet to underserved communities and bridge the gap between communities, especially communities in rural and remote areas. Since the start of rolling out of this beta project, Starlink have been quickly rolling out this project to many regions around the world. But however, since this project is too big, they've been having a lot of problems, and some of them they're dealing with them, but some are still hurdles even today. So today we're gonna take a deep dive into the problems they have here in South Africa and try to explain some of the reasons. One of the key factors affecting the rollout of Starlink in South Africa is the regulatory process. For internet companies like Starlink to be allowed to roll out their internet here in South Africa, they have to pass some requirements with the regulatory bodies in South Africa so that they'll be allowed to roll out the internet to us as consumers. It takes a very long time for a company to be allowed by the regulators to roll out internet service in a country, and the processes involves technical and legal evaluations to make sure that these companies are abiding by the regulations provided by regulatory companies. And here in South Africa, there's a regulatory body named the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, simply ICASA. So right now, ICASA is having some ridiculous regulations which is stopping this internet service to roll out in South Africa. As I explained, Starlink is required to pass these regulations, so that's why it's stopping them. In ICASA's regulations, one of the requirements is to have the company that is 30% owned by historically disadvantaged groups. This would be great for having historical disadvantaged groups involved in South African economy, but I think for me it's stifling on innovation, because I understand that South Africa is still a developing country, but Starlink is not South African, so they cannot force a foreign country to have such rules. We as consumers need this service, so them stopping Starlink to roll out the service because they are not 30% owned by historically disadvantaged groups is affecting us as consumers. I understand that the South African government and its regulatory bodies have to pass these laws such as the BEE certificates and all, which allows us as black South Africans to be involved in the economy. But my take is that if they want us to be innovative, they should allow foreign companies to act without us, and then we can take from those foreign companies and improve. This is gonna make sure that South Africa doesn't have satellite internet, because none of us here in South Africa have the means to start the company. But if Starlink were to be here, then we'd learn from them, then also start our own and have competition to Starlink. Even though ICASA is having these regulations which is stopping Starlink, it seems like South Africans are having some creative ways on having this service work in South Africa. Many South Africans are ordering the service which is available in other African countries to be shipped out in those countries, then shipped out to South Africa. When your satellite dish is in South Africa, it does work. It's just that you have to buy it from an outside country which have rollouts, countries like Nigeria. This allows these South Africans to use Starlink internet, but it makes getting the service difficult because you'll have to pay a lot of shipping fees to ship it to another country than to South Africa. And I think a lot of people are not gonna afford that. This also put us at disadvantage, because if you order it from another country, it won't be easy for Starlink to offer you support, since they offer support to a certain country which they have service in, and according to them right now they don't have service in South Africa, so they wouldn't serve warranty support to a South African satellite which they did not sell. I don't know what you all think, but I think this shouldn't be regulation. And this is it for this update. Catch you on the next one. Peace.